views expressed on this program are those of the producers and individuals appearing on this program and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Sun Prairie Media Center staff, its video service providers, or the staff and elected officials of the City of Sun Prairie.
Hello and welcome to Real Reviews, episode number 521, the penultimate episode, and I am so excited to welcome back. My final co-host is my original co-host. It's Mike Roth.
Hey, how's it going?
This guy.
I dress nice.
You are dressed to the nines.
Totally forgot that there was a Wikipedia page about me that you haven't talked about.
Oh, man.
Did you want to introduce it?
Oh man, I totally forgot about that.
What was it?
The fake fact?
Yes.
I don't know. You got me. I totally forgot that was
put you on the spot.
Our shtick.
You know, for years I thought that everything you said
Yeah.
was just spur of the moment, whatever you were thinking.
Oftentimes it was. I'm not thinking right now, though.
That's fine. You're thinking of other things.
Thinking of other things. Look at this. I'm thinking of this awesome shirt I haven't worn in a while. You created these shirts long ago. Our old logo got your name and my name on it.
People still make fun of me because of how many typos and misspellings were on there.
It's a shirt that has to be worn like with something over it because the back has some typos.
It's pretty bad.
But that makes it that much more special.
It is special. And there's probably only two in existence now.
Exactly, yeah.
I just can't fit in mine.
Well, here we are, sir. You, like I said, you are the final co-host of this run of shows, and I'm super happy. We got a few movies to talk about, as well as a throwback movie that holds a special place in my heart. I don't know about you. But let's go ahead and get started with what we have on the marquee this week. We start off with the new film from director Guy Ritchie, The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. It is a film that is, surprisingly to me, based on a true story from Winston Churchill's confidential files that were recently released. This film is set in 1942, where German U-boats have control of the North Atlantic to the extent that it's keeping the Americans from entering the European front of World War II because they can't get any troops there. But the UK has a plan that they dub Operation Postmaster. They need to destroy the U-boats before they launch somehow. And it's a mission that's unsanctioned, unofficial, and as Brigadier M, played by Carrie Elwes, reminds them, if they're caught, the UK will deny all knowledge of them. This sounds familiar. This sounds like a James Bond thing. But it's a mission that they have to, in order to pull this off, they need to find a team of mercenaries, of specialists, and form the team, their own kind of Dirty Dozen type team, or their own Inglorious Bastards, if you will. And the majority of the film is this heist. But first, before they can even work on this mission, the team, led by Gus March Phillips, played by Henry Cavill, and his Swedish friend Anders Lassen, played by Reacher's own Alan Ritchson, have to free one of their cohorts, Major Appleyard, played by Alex Pettyfer, who's in German captivity. So before the mission can start, we have to infiltrate the Germans and free a man. And then the majority of the film is then a secretive heist film with a ton of action, some great action stars that are just having fun killing Nazis. And who could not love killing Nazis?
It seems to be one of the okay things you could still kill. You could kill aliens and you could kill Nazis.
I'm okay with it.
I'm okay with it. Nazis, fascism, not really my thing. So it's fine.
You're on record.
It's fine. And while you were saying all that stuff, I was just amazed on how many trivia points you also hit.
Yeah.
This character that Henry Cavill portrayed, actual real character that inspired the James Bond novels that first started.
We meet a guy in here, a young intelligence officer named Ian Fleming, who in real life would go on to create James Bond.
And also, you mentioned Nazis, which we have an actor in here who's just came from Inglourious Bastards, also as a Nazi. He's a professional Nazi.
Till Schweiger plays the Nazi commandant that kind of was our big bad by Heinrich Luhr. Yeah, I'm watching him going, I know him. Oh, that's right. He was one of the bastards.
He's a Nazi. So you knew all this during your...
I know things. Yeah, I've seen a movie or two.
You made my brain go dink.
I enjoyed this movie because it had comedy. It's big action, it has comedy, especially I like there's two agents in particular who are arguing about the results of World War II based on the cuisine of the victorious country. I'm like, oh, that's kind of fun. There's over-the-top fights going on. There's big explosions. There's all that. And I don't know about you, but Guy Ritchie is a guy who I'm like hot and cold on. Like early on, Lock, Stock, ooh, this guy. And then he felt like he got lazy for a while and just tried remaking the same movies.
And I got that feeling while I was watching this. I didn't look into it. I had no idea Guy Ritchie actually directed because I was paying to something else during the opening credits. And throughout most of this movie, I was like, this feels like someone tried to rip off Guy Ritchie poorly. and some of the cool shots weren't there. What was there is everybody is just slicker and cooler than everybody else, so much to the point that for me, it felt like they weren't even characters. It was really just Henry Cavill with a bunch of people that could have unique backstories, but we don't really get into it. You just get to see the big guy stabbing really fast, and you get to see the other guys do it.
See, now I liked Alan Richardson's character though as the sweet because he seemed like a guy who was kind of shy. Right, kind of quiet, but he loved ripping Nazi hearts out.
I feel like if they paid more attention to the other characters, I would have been happy. I don't really like Henry Cavill, and I'm really glad they didn't have to digitally take out his mustache this time.
Yeah.
But I find him kind of bland.
Oh, okay.
And all the characters, I was excited to know more about them, but all the characters felt like the same character.
So you would have been... Would you have preferred, like, maybe take out the mission to go save Appleyard and take that time to really delve into the backstory of this team more? Like, cut some of the action down?
I tried thinking about this, and I don't know if they took out some of the cool so they could add some more story, that might diminish the story and make it a little bit boring. Because this thing was all action.
It moves,
If they wanted to keep the cool, maybe make the shots a little bit more interesting, or maybe do something else with the action, get a really good choreographer. I'm sure they had one, but someone better, because it felt to me like the moves were all the same thing. And just seeing
Guy Ritchie's kind of Guy Ritchie.
Yeah.
He just does his Guy Ritchie thing. Now, I actually thought that this was kind of a rebound for him because you probably haven't seen his last couple movies. They've been pretty bad. And this felt more like, the last one I liked of his was The Gentleman, from like maybe 6 years ago. Hugh Grant starred in. But he had one, Operation Fortune, a couple years ago that was kind of this movie. Carrie Eloise basically played the same guy.
That Robin Hood movie, which I kind of enjoyed.
But I actually kind of enjoyed this a little more because I felt like he was kind of trying a little more. Like he's heard people dogging on Guy Ritchie.
Yeah.
I don't know. I also, one of the things I appreciate is, one of the things I don't love about Guy Ritchie films, especially more recent ones, action films, is he's doing that, let's just globetrot from exotic locale to exotic locale. Every 20 minutes, we have to show up somewhere else, right? I like that this one was a little more static. Like, we're just going places that we should be going. We don't have to stop off in Fiji and then go to Milan, and I kind of like that.
He still did that to a point by having other teams doing other things.
Sure.
And another thing I did enjoy about this movie, Babs Olsen...
Yeah, you went for it.
Yeah, I tried it.
Smokin'?
Yes, I enjoy him very much in the new Star Trek series. I think he's a fantastic actor. His voice is also soothing. I would sit and listen to an audiobook.
Yeah.
I want to see more of him doing other things in the future, which will happen because, the new Star Trek season is going to be starting up.
He's good.
He is really good.
There's a couple of things that I really enjoyed. I loved the character of Marjorie Stewart in her dealings with the Nazi commandant. I liked that dynamic between them.
I felt like even though she was a good actor, she was more in there as just someone who's pretty. And they had that one scene where they find out she's Jewish, and it's... I rolled my eyes. I did. I was like, really? Out of all that, she actually told you she was Jewish. You waited for a long time, and then we all laughed about it, and then you pick it up because she said a Yiddish word instead of a German word in a song. It's like, okay, well, that's kind of you could do that. Her main language is British English.
Dead giveaway. What'd you feel about Rory Kinnear as Winston Churchill?
It was fine. I didn't feel Winston Churchill at all, but I figured it was the Guy Ritchie thing, trying to make everybody cooler than what they really are.
I felt like it was out of a, boy, this will date me. It was like out of a SCTV sketch. Like, boy, this is rough. All right. I have a feeling we're going to have different thoughts on this. What did you end up giving the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare?
I gave it a 2. I did not like this movie. I liked some bits about it, but overall it just felt too much like dripping cool and not much substance.
See, and I enjoyed it much more than I have in recent years with Guy Ritchie films, and I like the pairing of Alan Ritchson and Henry Cavill together.
Okay.
I thought they were fun. I wish we could have gotten more screen time with the two of them, and I ended up giving this movie 4 stars. I feel like it's a movie that I'll rewatch.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
I like a fun action movie.
It's kind of cool when you're going into retirement. I know you got that island in Fiji that you want to get to.
Yeah.
You still got to do one more week, but it's nice to do one good movie.
Yeah, that's right. All right, let's move on to what else we have on the marquee, sir. You have a horror movie for us.
And this actually pleased me a lot because the reason why I came on here was you said, I don't really like horror movies, and you seem to like horror movies, and you get someone who
That's how we got together, yes.
Yeah, and we sat over at Jade Monkey, and we all chit-chatted about it. It was a good time.
The beginnings of this show, yep.
But Abigail, unfortunately, they kind of give you the surprise right away. It's about a 12-year-old ballerina who is kidnapped by a group of people who are professionals, and they need $50 million from her father. They don't know who she is. They don't know what the father is. But once they find out who the father is, all hell breaks loose, and Abigail is a vampire.
Ooh.
Now, the thing I have a problem with is we all know this.
Right.
It's in the previews.
Yeah.
It's in
no surprise.
It's on the huge poster, but it was a slow get to the point where it should have been a surprise.
40 minutes in before we first see it.
40 minutes in before you get the big reveal that everybody knows because they've seen the posters, they've seen the previews, they know.
So you feel infinitely smarter than the rest of the characters, which is a problem.
And we also had, I'm going to go through all the characters. We also had 2 characters, though, that just drove me nuts. Kevin Duran, who, to me, I just kept on going, is that Elon Musk? Why is he talking like that?
Yeah.
And then the other one, Agnes Cloud, who unfortunately he passed away, but his character was just way too dumb, over dumb. But, not to spoil anything, I don't have to deal with him that long. Didn't say why.
Is that in real life? Is that why?
Oh, well, you make me sound terrible. The cast is very low on this because it's pretty much just kidnapping team and one girl. Joey Melissa Barrera, she is the better of the group. She's kind of the mom of the family who makes a promise to Abigail, nothing's going to happen to you, I'll keep you safe.
Don't make promises to vampires.
But again, 40 minutes, we already know that she's not going to do any of that. We have Dan Stevens, who is the main bad guy of the bad guys.
Yeah.
He is just a cool street cop that just loves the adrenaline. That's why he's in it. And Abigail, who is Alicia Ware, who I think did a really good job.
I really liked her, actually.
And I do get a big giggle. This kind of reminds me of horror movies back from the late 80s, early 90s, where you had a group of people that you don't really like, and you watch them get all picked off one by one. I enjoyed that aspect a lot.
That's in my notes. I was rooting for the vampire in this movie to kill these horrible people.
Yeah, you knew that the mama of the family wasn't going to die, but everybody else.
Wipe them out.
Totally slaughter them.
This may have broken the record of the Evil Dead remake for most amount of fake blood used when a body explodes.
And you think of the quirkiness. It's a 12-year-old ballerina girl slaughtering people. I love that aspect.
Just blood volcanoes when a body gets bitten. I mean, there's a line at the beginning when they first kidnap her and she looks at them and says, "I'm really sorry about what's about to happen to you." You're like, "Oh, I like that ominous line." And then, yeah, you find out her dad's basically Kaiser Soze.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, that guy has people that do terrible things to people. And you're like, okay.
The whole crew's just like, I'm going to go home. I found out what the name is.
But then when they like, oh, I know what we do. We seal ourselves in the building to keep him out. You're like, you just locked yourself into a tomb.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, the thing is, you know everything, right? Because you know the reveal that's going to be coming. You know every dumb mistake they're doing. You're like, well, that's dumb. That's dumb. And ordinarily, I would hate that in a movie.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed this movie, actually. And it's mostly because of Alicia Weir's performance. And I like seeing this diminutive 12-year-old girl who's having a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah.
Toying with her food. And that made even these really dumb things and really bad performances worthwhile.
I feel like the major downfall of this movie is actually the advertisers.
Yeah.
If they knew they had 40 minutes before everybody's supposed to expect that the vampire's in the room, it would have been better. I would have been like, okay, it's a slow burn, but I don't know what's happening.
Right.
So surprise me. If they just changed the name to Vampire or whatever, and they took Abigail out of the posters, that would have made so much of a better movie.
I agree. It would have been really fun then. So these filmmakers are also the makers of the new Scream series, Scream 5, Scream 6, and Ready or Not. I don't know if you saw Ready or Not.
Loved it.
This reminded me a lot of that. I didn't know that they had made this movie, had made that movie when I was watching this, and then afterwards look and go, oh, they made Ready or Not. That sounds right, because I was thinking of that while I'm watching this.
And I was watching it, and I believe both the sets were both inspired.
They
were awesome.
I mean, because when you lock yourselves in this mansion that they're in, and then suddenly there's no lights, we need flashlights to go down dark hallways. I'm like, why is this? We're just in a house. Why do we all of a sudden have to get the flashlights out to go down these gothic hallways and such? It had the same feel. Yeah, and it had both movies have similar endings too.
Yeah. But awesome. Especially the remake of Evil Dead, not the last one, the one before that, where there's just so much blood. You're like, that's actually kind of funny.
Yeah.
That's this movie too.
Blood volcanoes, man. It's crazy. And I enjoy getting to watch a vampire do arabesques. Yeah. You know?
Yeah, you don't expect it.
No,
if you were thinking of quirky, what could be more quirky than a 12-year-old ballet dancer being a psychopathic killer?
That's right. All right, what did you end up giving Sweet Abigail?
I gave it a 3.5. I enjoyed this movie.
Yeah. I gave it a 3. I enjoyed it more than I thought I would, and especially looking back on all the flaws they had with it, that it's still fun.
Yeah, it's a fun
and it could have been really fun. If they would have followed some of the things that you said, I absolutely agree on.
And it's amazing. I don't usually say advertisers kind of kill a movie a little bit, but this time, definitely.
They got in their way. All right, let's take a look back right now. We have our movie throwback for this week, where I'm throwing it back to the year of 2014, to a film that was the first film that we reviewed on this here program. It is Brick Mansions from director Camille Del Mar. I had to watch this movie again to see if my taste changed or if my opinion changed, because it's been 10 years and 2,000 plus movies since then.
All right.
Like, oh, maybe I have a different taste in it. Maybe it's not as bad as I remembered it. I gave it 1.5 stars when we first reviewed it. Okay?
Very rightfully so.
Stars Paul Walker as an undercover cop who loves to drive fast, if that sounds familiar, infiltrating the massive housing complex called Brick Mansions. We have Lino, played by David Bell. He is the local anti-hero. He's an ex-con who's trying to clean up the neighborhood until he runs afoul of the drug kingpin, played by RZA, who is so nefarious that he has a neutron bomb and a Russian missile that he's planning on using on downtown Detroit. And the question is, can Detective Paul Walker team up with Lino to stop the RZA? Can parkour save the day? That's right, it's 2014. We're doing parkour. And there's so many quick cuts and camera tricks that it's really difficult to watch. And I found that no one outside of RZA, in my opinion, had any charisma. And I was left feeling the feeling of, well, it's 2024, and both Paul Walker and parkour are both dead now. And here we are.
Yeah. This was a crash course for me, because when we were talking about it over at the Jade, I was like, this is going to be fantastic. all the time. And then
right out the
after
gates.
this, our very first show, I was like, I enjoy bagging on movies too. That's the only reason it exists is to bag on it.
It doesn't make, I mean, it's a remake of I believe a Brazilian film, maybe. I mean, Lino doesn't.
Wasn't David Bell supposed to be in that original
He was,
too?
I believe, yeah. And man, he's just not good. Like he's good at parkour, and that's what got him the job.
But all the shots were so blurry and fast cut that you couldn't really see the majestics of the moves like a Jackie Chan movie. You got to see a chaotic headache.
It's the worst of this era of that kind of filmmaking of we'll just have quick cuts all over the place and zooming crane shots, and you can't make sense of anything, and you won't really feel attached, and it's horrible. And I remember hating so many, especially lower budget action movies that followed this same formula at the time, and it's awful. It never works.
No, but it was always fun to bag on it.
This is true. It's always fun to talk trash about movies.
One of my favorite bad movies is The Identical. I loved going to the theater with you. We were the only ones in there, and we just ripped on the movie the entire time and then got to rip on a show.
Now this leads me into a question I had of, over all the years. So you did 350 some episodes of this show with me.
Yeah.
We saw a lot of movies together.
Yep.
What's some memorable ones? That Identical is very memorable for both of us.
Identical, Mother, also very stuck in my head because I was.
Is that the Jennifer Lawrence one?
Yeah, where we were trying to figure out what this was all about. It was about the Bible, but I didn't know. And just trying to figure out this movie was a lot of fun. Sorry to Bother You.
Oh, yeah.
I love that movie. It just went under the radar. I'm glad to say I have a hard copy, which is becoming more and more important.
Love that movie.
What else? Me, Earl, and the Dying Girl.
Yeah, another surprise, right?
Yeah, super surprise. I would have gave it one of the best films of that year when they were going through all Oscar lists, and both of us agreed that it should have been
That was our number
there.
one film of the year.
Yep.
Yeah.
And just knowing that we were original. We're not like everybody else. A lot of times we will agree with other reviewers and stuff, but we have our own spin on stuff. And it's fun to take these little gems that we found that no one else picked up and introduce it to other people.
Yeah.
And a lot of people in my life have seen all these movies. No one agrees Sorry I Met You is a good movie that I've shown it to, but it is really good.
It is. You like horse people? I got a movie for you.
What about you?
Oh, man, there's so many. I mean, just they start to blend together after all these years. But I love when we get to disagree about movies, right? And that's been something that I've kind of missed because you and I have similar, but we also have different tastes, and that's reared its head a few times, and I actually love that. When it's not just like. A couple of times
we actually really did get upset.
We got heated.
We had one episode where we got heated and we were just arguing, and something went wrong.
Yeah.
And we had to record the whole show, and then when it got down to the heated part, you're just like, nah, I didn't like it.
That was for the movie Nocturnal Animals. I loved it. You did not. I took personal offense to it.
Yep, and we were heated. I could see the anger in your eyes. But the next time we went around,
I was all burnt out. Yeah. The candle had been blown out at that point. Yeah, there's been so many, but and just, I loved when you and I got to go see a kind of a sneak preview of Ex Machina.
That was
down
wonderful.
to the Cinematech and got to see that before it came into town. I really enjoyed that.
That was awesome.
Going to see both The Room and then the remake of The Room, those were a lot of fun. I remember my poutine getting knocked into my lap because an inflatable football landed on me.
And that was the first time I had that experience. I did it twice after that at the Majestic. Because it's like Rocky Horror Picture Show. There's a lot going on with the audience participating.
Yeah.
I want to do that again so bad, and they haven't done it since COVID.
Yeah,
exactly. Which is a shame.
We'll have to do that. We'll do that in your backyard.
Okay, I'm cool with that.
All right. Let's take a look ahead at what is coming soon. I'm looking at the weekend of May 3rd, where we have a couple of movies. The first one is The Fall Guy. Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt star in a really fun-looking summer action flick. We also have Tarot. A bunch of friends, get this, see if you've heard this one before. A bunch of friends violate the rules of tarot card reading. And so you know what happens? They unleash an evil spirit.
There isn't a lot of rules. It's drop your cards.
I don't know,
either
man.
way.
Somebody did something wrong, and they didn't shuffle the deck right, but the evil spirits are now out and about, and you got to watch out for that. Before we go any further, though, I'm going to do this. I got to take a minute out to thank you. We did this on your last episode, but to thank you for coming back for 7+ years of doing this with me. You mean a lot to me, and I'm really happy. I wouldn't have had anyone else do this last episode, have a co-host with. And I wouldn't have gotten to this point without you. Those first 7 years, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What we were just talking about, that give and take, that back and forth.
I am going to miss this. And last time I did this, I couldn't talk.
Yeah.
Because I was about to cry at every freaking moment.
Yeah.
But now it's been 3 years, and yeah, this is a huge part of my life.
Yeah.
I felt like I accomplished something just being here.
Yeah.
On and off for the last 3 years, but this is a decade of your life. And it's special. And you can.
Crazy.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, I love.
And you're dedicated too. Have you
Yeah.
missed any episodes, really?
I missed one this last year on purpose. I needed a week off.
Uh-huh.
And I took a week off and had someone else fill in for me.
So me being gone actually helped your attendance.
It did. I only missed one. You're absolutely right. I loved some of the things we did. We came up with fun series. Like, remember we did the Summer of Keanu. We did Camp Throwback.
Yep.
Where we did summer camp movies.
I liked.
We did the best pictures that we never saw. That was fun.
I liked our one that we didn't have on the cameras, where when someone missed an episode, we could always tell the other person, when you've done as many shows as I've done.
Yeah, yeah. And I loved we got to do some fun remotes at the theater. We got to go to Comic-Con and do things. That was always fun. And
meeting out. Not Al Roker.
Billy D. Williams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that was embarrassing.
And just kind of bidding you adieu a few years ago was really difficult for me, for you. But I loved getting to, we would talk movies. We would text movies all the time, texting our plans for the next week or for the upcoming months. And you always came up with really cool throwback movie ideas when I was struggling. And you'd be like, how about this? And that's just crazy enough. It might work.
I was just talking about this with Heather a couple of days ago, how I loved every time you had this Wikipedia page. And most of the time I said yes, and I think, but there's a couple of them that I was just like, no, I don't even know what that is. You said I was a brony once. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure I'm not that.
That's good. That's good. Yeah. And we went through that stretch where we were doing the same show twice a week for open captioning and closed captioning. Oh, man, doing this, repeating ourselves. But
people at home don't really know that we have a cursed room that we don't like being in. Still cursed.
Still. But I feel like you and I have this really special bond because of all the years that we sat here talking about movies, and you made me look at certain movies a different way, and I tried to force you to look at certain movies a different way. But I'm really glad that we got this, and I'm really glad that I call you my friend, man. And this has been really, really nice.
I say the same thing. I miss this a lot.
Yeah.
And it sucks that knowing it's never going to happen.
Well,
again.
I'll tell you the same thing I've told every other co-host who has said, "Oh, I'm going to miss this." You can take it over, and I'll be your co-host randomly whenever you want.
People also don't know how much work you put into doing this. And you also have this unusual talent where you could actually pay attention to multiple things at once. So you can review something and also look at something else and do something else. I cannot. I can't multitask. I barely could walk and talk.
Well, again, I thank you, and I recommend that next week you tune in because there's going to be some really fun pictures of you on the last episode, so tune in for that.
And I would love everybody to request the live audience
last one. Trying to get a live audience. That would be horrible. All right. Speaking of thank yous, we have to thank our sponsor, Marcus Theaters, The Palace here in Sun Prairie. Thank you for sponsoring the show. Thank you for allowing us in to see some good, bad, and otherwise movies in a beautiful Dream Lounger. We appreciate that, Tom and the gang over there.
I just want to thank Tom. You're awesome. Thank you for all the years of helping out. And Mara, she came in as a volunteer to help this out.
Yeah.
I've been really fortunate with all the good people that I was able to work with, and I'm going to stop.
I hear it in your voice. I hear the catch. Also at the Marcus this last week, they had a really fun mystery movie where you didn't know what the movie was. I put a promo on our Facebook page for it. It's really interesting, and I'm going to talk about that movie next week, so make sure you tune in for that. But that was a lot of fun. Speaking of next week, I'm going to be talking about challengers, and I'm also going to mention Boy Kills World, and it's going to be time to say goodbye for now next week, so make sure you tune in for all of that. But, sir, thank you again for coming in, looking so dapper. Man, the king.
You had so many years of looking better. I wanted to outdress you more time.
I used to have hair. You used to have dark hair.
No.
Years ago.
It wasn't like this. I match my suit.
Looking great. All right, until next week, I'm Jameson.
I'm Mike Roth.
Have a great one.